carrying her away in the car and tossing her out the window.
Yeah.
It was the other way around.
Yeah.
To say that the penis had this total control over her is just, I'll tell you, these women, they get hold of this kind of stuff, and they want to make...
This is a circus here, and the feminists are walking around saying, yay on, right on.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Are they saying that, without knowing, because they don't know whether this case is true or not, are they saying that it's okay for any woman to castrate any man simply because somewhere in the United States a woman has been brutalized by a man? That's what they're saying.
I think so. And but before you asked that question, you said they don't know really what happened. That's the whole point of feminism. They don't care what happened.
That's right.
This is simply an opportunity for them
to
launch another presentation of their agenda.
Yep.
Look, we'll take a break and come back with your discussion on term limits.
Great.
Okay? And if you want to get in any more penal codes, we'll do that too.
You're listening to the EIB Network. Are you concerned about saving money to pay for your children's or grandchildren's education? What about the purchase of a home? Have you thought about retirement? Have you given any thought to what the Clinton tax plan is going to do to your savings and investments? Mutual funds are a means of diversified investing to help you meet your financial needs. And the Kaufman Fund has a reputation based on success. According to the mutual fund forecaster, the Kaufman Fund is the #1 performing mutual fund from the market bottom of December 4th, 1987 through the year end of 1993. So call 1-800-321-9042 for your free prospectus. It's sound financial planning to take control of your own future by starting or adding to a systematic saving and investment program with the Kaufman Fund. The key to a secure financial future is getting started, so do it now. Call the Kaufman Fund, 1-800-321-9042, 1-800-321-9042. Please read the prospectus carefully before investing. The fund's past performance is not a guarantee of future results.
Buick Skylarks from 99.80.
Yeah. Right.
Buick Centuries from 10,450.
Sure. Who believes that? And what about the rest of the story? You'll have to haggle with the salesperson. You'll only get a good price if you're really lucky. They'll only give you $100 in trade. Sounds familiar, right? Not at Courtesy Buick in Goldsboro. We sell cars a different way, a better way, the no-hassle way, with our best bottom-line prices marked right on a great selection of program cars. At Courtesy, Skylark program cars really are priced from $99.80, Regals from $11,980, Park Avenues from just $18,950. And at Courtesy in Goldsboro, you don't have to negotiate or hassle over price ever. Shop for your next car the no-hassle way at Courtesy Buick on Highway 70 East Bypass in Goldsboro, the only no-hassle Buick dealer in North Carolina. Tax tags and $129 dock fee are extra.
State Office Equipment Company of Goldsboro is the place to buy office furniture for less. Super Steno chairs just $99.95 and chair mats only $19.95. Oak or walnut desk for as little as $179.95 and much more. State Office Equipment Company is perfect for churches, clubs, and businesses that are on a budget. And aren't we all? And State Office Equipment Company delivers. For office furniture at a discount, check out State Office Equipment Company, 2211A East Ash Street in Goldsboro. Call 731-3000.
I know you've enjoyed the weekday lunch buffet at Madison's on New Hope Road, but did you know that it's available on Sundays too? And it's even bigger and better. It's the weekday lunch buffet on Sunday, plus steamed shrimp, fried oysters, and more, and it's only $5.99. What a treat! 5 to 7 vegetables and meats, a salad bar and dessert, plus shrimp and oysters. And now that famous Madison Surf and Turf buffet you've heard so much about is available Sundays beginning at 5 p.m. My mouth's watering just telling you about it. You owe it to yourself and your family to dine at Madison's New Hope Road, Goldsboro.
Smithfield, Virginia. Ray and term limits. Time to launch.
Okay. I don't know if you remember...
I think you're a lawyer, by the way.
Pardon me?
You're a lawyer.
No, I'm not.
Just interested in the law.
I'm a cabinet maker.
Okay, good.
Computer programmer.
Good.
I don't know if you remember Adam Clayton Powell, thrown out of Congress, impeached for improprieties at home. They ran a special election and to fill his vacancy, and he ran, and he won. And he went back to Congress, and Congress said, no, you've been impeached, we won't seat you. And it went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said that Congress can pass, the Constitution says Congress has the right to pass on the qualifications of its members, and the Supreme Court said, but only those qualifications that are in the Constitution. Now, a term limit is not a limitation on a candidate. It's a limitation on your right and my right to vote for someone. Remember that a candidate works for us. I mean, a politician works for us. He's our employee. A term limit is essentially the government or the majority of people saying to me, sorry, but you cannot hire the same plumber 3 times in a row. You can't visit the same doctor 5 times in a row. You have to go to a different doctor.
Well, that may be coming.
Well, yeah, but the point is that if I want to vote for a guy, I have the right to vote for him. And a term limit is the way of the majority of people saying to me that the guy I want to vote for is not allowed to be on the ballot and for me to vote for him.
Right, but there is precedent that will work against you, and it's, what is it, Amendment 22 regarding the presidency.
But that is a constitutional amendment.
That's right.
And
well, that's
it
where this
only affects the president.
I know, but that's where, well, but it's still the precedent, and
No, it's not a precedent for anything. The only way that term limits for congressmen will be constitutional is if we make a constitutional amendment.
Well, I was going to say that I think that's where this is going.
If it goes there, then it will be legal. But until then, it won't be. And I can virtually guarantee that term limits won't stand scrutiny. The fact is that if the majority says that they vote to limit my choice of who I want to represent me in Congress, if let's say we're in a state with 300 congressional districts or 30 congressional districts, and 29 of them say we've got to have term limits, and the other district says, wait a minute, we want to send our guy back. 29 districts are saying to the 30th, you may not have the representative of your choice. Absolutely unconstitutional. I'm sorry. I get to choose the man I want to represent me. Now, if the majority says, I'm sorry, but we don't want that guy anymore, then we just don't vote for him.
Ultimately, you're right. The ballot box is where all of these things should be decided. But what is, well, I don't have much time here, but what is your thought on we got 10 seconds. What's your thought on Foley's suit and his going about it with the 10th Amendment?
I don't know about the basis. I haven't read the suit.
Well, I'll just tell you very quickly. He's going to take the 10th Amendment and say that the people of the United States have no right to exercise control over their government. You think that's good or bad?
That's a stupid argument.
Well, that's what he's going to base it on. That's what he's going to base it on.
WGBR. We can prevent the unthinkable. What is the unthinkable? A flood with no Red Cross shelter. A fire and no Red Cross volunteer. A tornado victim without hope. Last year was devastating to the Red Cross. 8,000 major disasters. As a result, our ability to help disaster victims is threatened. Please help. Call 1-800-842-2200. That's 1-800-842-2200. Prevent the unthinkable from happening.
Family, we're going to test our home for radon. But we're going to have to act fast.
Why the rush?
Jones across the street told me he's testing for radon this week.
Look, honey, testing for radon's a great idea, but keeping up with the Joneses isn't the reason to do it.
You got a better one?
Well, radon's the second leading cause of lung cancer in the country.
Gee, I'm smarter than I thought. Yeah.
Test your home for radon now. It can be done quickly and inexpensively. For more information on radon testing, call 1-800-SOS-RADON. A message from the Ad Council and the EPA.
WGBR, Goldsboro's very own.
From ABC News, I'm Gary Nunn. Skull and crossbones alert.
You can take Salem out of the country.
30 years ago, tobacco companies were on the air with such commercials. In 1964, the government and a number of officials began linking cigarette smoking and cancer. Today, several groups, including the American Cancer Society, say a lot more could and should be done to protect Americans from the harmful effects of smoking. Scott Bolin of the American Heart Association says the government should get tough.
The bottom line is that while there has been progress made in many areas, there is a great deal left to do, especially in the area of public policy. The Congress and the executive branch of government must learn to just say no to the tobacco industry, its money, and it's influence peddling.
The call is for the Food and Drug Administration to regulate cigarettes. The Tobacco Institute complains.
By putting tobacco under FDA control, you in effect force doctors to write prescriptions for it. Well, in this age of medical malpractice, can any of us name a single doctor that would write a prescription for someone to smoke cigarettes? Of course not.
Thomas Loria says there is no consumer product, including alcohol, that's more regulated than tobacco. Gruesome photographs were shown during the morning session of the Lorena Bobbitt malicious wounding trial in Manassas, Virginia. The jury was handed a picture of her husband, John Bobbitt, snapped after she dismembered him and before surgeons reattached his penis. During questioning, defense attorney Blair Howard asked John Bobbitt about an instance when his wife filed a complaint.
Your wife filed a complaint with the Marine Corps. Is that correct?
Yeah, I believe I remember something like that, because when I went to work one day, my staff officer said, you know, when your wife called and said you have marital problems.
The trial resumes within the hour in Manassas, Virginia. MTV is planning a year-long campaign against violence using news programs and public service announcements to take the glamour out of guns. You're listening to ABC News.
This is great. I finally got a date with you.
A date? No, I'm helping you keep your New Year's resolution to watch your weight.
Oh, so that explains why we're in the dairy section of the local supermarket contemplating Dan & Light's 11 flavors.
Well, with these other light yogurts, you just run out of flavors.
Okay.
Okay, we got lemon chiffon, we got strawberry, all fat-free and very creamy. You like cappuccino?
I love it. And I know this great place down the block.
This is going to be difficult.
Keep your New Year's resolution the easy way with a flavor a day from Dan & Light.
You know when your throat's so dry and scratchy, it feels like you swallowed some sand? You need medicine, not those candy cough drops. You need Cepacol lozenges. But what if your throat feels like you swallowed all the sand on Malibu Beach? Not to mention 5 beach chairs, 3 volleyball nets, and a surfer named Chuck.
No, dude.
Then you need really strong medicine. You need Cepastat lozenges. Cepacol for sore throats. Cepastat for really sore throats. Use only as directed.
There's been a shooting in El Cajon, California. A San Diego County marshal wounded during a scuffle at the entrance of the courthouse there. No word on his condition or the circumstances that led to the incident. Oregon Republican Senator Bob Packwood said today in Portland that he intends to run for re-election in 1998, but later said he was only joking and will not decide for several years. American speed skater Kristen Talbot has put training for the Olympics on the back burner. Talbot's in good condition at Johns Hopkins University Hospital in Baltimore after having some bone marrow removed from her pelvis, marrow donated for a 19-year-old brother, Jason, who suffers from aplastic anemia. Hospital spokesman Dr. Richard Jones performed the procedure.
She's feeling very well. She's still a little sleepy following the procedure, but isn't experiencing any pain or any discomfort, although as the anesthesia wears off, she will probably have some substantial pain in her lower back and pelvic area for a couple of days.
The disease attacks bone marrow, slowing or stopping production of blood cells. Doctors will find out in about a month if the bone marrow Jason gets is producing blood cells. The Alaska Senate scolds one of its own, voting unanimously to censure Senator George Jacko for using his position to sexually harass women in violation of the state's legislative ethics law. Wall Street, Dow Jones Industrials now up 9.85 at 3855.94. This is ABC News.
This is June Allison for Depend. How does better protection sound? Like this. That's the sound of the adjustable strap tabs from Velcro USA. The new way to fasten Depend easy fit undergarments. Just lift and press for a custom fit. And of course a better fit means better protection. Look for new Depend easy fit undergarments in the hot pink and blue packets. Because you've got a lot of living to do.
For the ABC Information Network, I'm Gary Nunn.
The University of North Carolina Tar Heels face a major test tomorrow night as they travel to Atlanta to visit the Yellow Jackets of Georgia Tech. And WGBR will carry all the action live beginning at 8:30. Tar Heel basketball is brought to you locally by Sportsman's World, Waco Ham Deli, Wound Oil Company, Crawford Henderson Insurance, Lawrence Travel Agency, Leith Chrysler Plymouth, and Buffett Oil Company. Catch the Tar Heels and the Jackets tomorrow night at 8:30, right here on Goldsboro's very own 1150 WGBR.
Looks like we'll have to pretty much deal with a lot of cloud cover for the rest of today and most of tomorrow. Looks like the chance of rain will also be increasing later today. Around sunset, we have a good chance of getting some rain continuing through the evening hours and overnight as well. Highs in the mid-40s in the northern counties to a few low and mid-50s farther south. Lows tonight in the low to mid-40s, then the rain will be around tomorrow morning, ending in the afternoon. Highs ranging again from 40s in the north to 50s southward. I'm Bill Schmidt at the Weather Center.
Expressed by the host on this show make more sense than anything anybody else out there happens to be saying. That's why the views expressed by the host on this show are sweeping America, EIB, an airborne phenomenon.
This is a special edition of the Rush Limbaugh program.
Spread
America Held Hostage.
By casual contact.
And now, from our studios in New York City, here is Rush Limbaugh.
Today is day 357 of the Raw Deal. The Clinton presidency, also known as a hostage crisis, 357 for the poor and the middle class. Day 376 for the rich and the dead, 1,103 days remain. Here at the Limbaugh Institute for Advanced Conservative Studies, we have been working, ladies and gentlemen, on our suggestions to help young students in New York City's public school system deal with the world of multicultural education. As you know, it's been very controversial here. Heather has two mommies and Daddy has a roommate. Those two books, stories, whatever, have been thrown out. But the advocates of those stories are working hard behind the scenes to try to get those stories and the culture they represent reintroduced into the public school system. Should that happen, we think the EIB ideas should also be considered. And rather than Heather has two mommies, our first story would be entitled Heather's Mommy Has Two Priests. Heather's mommy has two priests. Here's the story. Heather's father was blasted in a drive-by shooting. Heather's mommy then remarried. Heather's mommy, being an ideal wife, went along with her first husband's priest. Stayed with her first husband's priest. Your priest is your priest. You stay with your priest. Now she also has her second husband's priest. It's a charming tale of a mother's plight and how we must understand Heather and her mother's lifestyle. That's a lot of religion when you got two priests. Heather's mommy has two priests. I think a fascinating story. Now, we have looked at the possibility of perhaps modifying our story because in Texas, as we announced to you yesterday on this show, the son of Congressman Scott Army, is leading a campaign down there, and I forget which county, but is to get prayer in the public schools. And there's opposition to the concept on the basis that prayer in the schools will lead to more violence. So if Heather's mommy has two priests, we must be able to deal with the charge that this will cause there to be more violence in Heather's mommy's house. The second book, this is going to be the most controversial story, a little pamphlet book that our young crumb crunchers should be exposed to in the EIB multicultural education curriculum. Billy's father is a conservative. This is destined to provoke controversy throughout the New York City public school system. And this would be the syllabus for this little story or course. Do you know the problems one faces when you think for yourself? Well, Billy's dad did not march in lockstep with all the liberals out there. He thought for himself and concluded that conservative positions make more sense. And in our story, you'll read about the pressures put on Billy's father, the discrimination against him just because of what he believes. And I think in terms of education, there can be no greater contribution the Limbaugh Institute could make than Billy's father is a conservative. Teach young first and second graders what will happen to them if they think for themselves. And if they, heaven forbid, conclude that conservatism makes more sense. Get them started early. Why should they have to wait until college to find out what it is like to deal with an enemy professor? Liberal professor. Rudolph Giuliani, the new mayor of New York, is already swimming in some hot water while the city is in a deep freeze regarding a comment he made about the homeless. And here's what he said. Homeless activists are up in arms when the mayor indicated that the city would help the homeless by seeing if we can create some warm weather out there. Giuliani later called the New York Daily News to say that he had misheard the question and did not intend to poke fun at the homeless. The Commissioner of Sanitation and the Department of Environmental Protection are trying to heat the entire city, he joked, answering a question about the homeless shouted at a news conference. The mayor then went on to praise the sanitation department for de-icing streets, suggesting that he misunderstood the question. If it was a joke, I think it was way out of line, said Josh Taylor of Partnership for the Homeless. Mr. Mayor, what are you going to do about the homeless? Well, we're seeing if we can create some warm weather. Do you think that's so bad? Is it bad if you're a mayor and you say that, though? I guess it is. I don't think it's bad. Why can't, we're too uptight. We're wound too tightly. Does anybody deny that warm weather would be welcomed by the homeless? Wouldn't they love some warm weather? There are some new statistics out on students' sexual activity. And I'm going to tell you something. I'm not sure I believe them. But if they're true, then the problem is worse than anybody thought. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reported this month on teens, sex, and disease. Now listen to this. 72% of all high school seniors say they've had sexual intercourse. You think it's that high? See, when you're in high school, isn't it, I mean, your friends are all running around. You remember how it is. You brag about your conquests on Monday, how many conquests you had over the weekend. And it's a situation that is, I think it's part of human nature, part of growing up. Yeah, man, and you should, and then here come all the details. And meanwhile, everybody listening to this is, oh, man, I didn't get it. Oh, gee, I didn't know. This guy must be a real who. Wow, well, what's he doing? I don't follow this guy around. It's a thing you brag about. It's the old adage, though. The guy who talks about all the sex that he's getting is the guy who wishes it were true. The people who are that successful don't talk about it. It's an old adage, and you got to allow for, Mr. Snerdley, who is in high schools all the time, apparently is telling me that it's different out there now. What are you, a hall monitor in the afternoons or something? Okay, all right, I'm saying, it could well be. If it's that bad, it's worse than I thought. I'm open to this. But I'm also taking it. You look, 82% of high school seniors, girls, say they've been sexually harassed. You believe that? What that means is, if 82% of high school seniors, females, say they've been sexually harassed, it means that having sex is harassment. Now, nearly 1/5, 19% of high school seniors say they've had at least 4 partners. Among high school students who are sexually active, only 45% report using a condom during their last sexual foray. The Centers for Disease Control received reports of 1,415 AIDS cases diagnosed in teenagers between 13 and 19, 12,712 cases of AIDS in young people 20 to 24. Many of these probably infected during adolescence. 3 million teens have sexually transmitted diseases, including gonorrhea, chlamydia, herpes, and hepatitis B. I said gonorrhea because my health teacher when I was a junior in high school pronounced it that way. He did. Sitting up there, we're getting a lecture on gonorrhea. We're sitting looking at each other, don't laugh, don't laugh. And AIDS is the 6th leading cause of death among young people ages 15 to 24. That's what the CDC says. A lot of sexual activity going on out there, and I guess the way to deal with it is condoms. Have you seen We're going to show you this on television later today or tomorrow, depending on whenever you see the show. One of the condom ads, you remember the Alka-Seltzer guy? What was his name? Speedy? Remember the old Alka-Seltzer commercials where the Alka-Seltzer tablets were in this tinfoil pack and they hopped around the screen? Plop, plop, fizz, fizz. Oh, what a relief it is. Da-da-da-da, Alka-Seltzers. They've created a character. What is his name? Mr. Condom? Hang on, let me find this just a second. Mr. Rubber. That's what it is. This little character is Mr. Rubber, and Mr. Rubber is a condom inside the whatever it is, foil or whatever it's packed in. And this thing hops around the screen, and when we'll show you this. Couple gets in bed. A couple get in bed. Yes. A couple get in bed, and Mr. Rubber realizes that he's not there with them, and that's not good. So Mr. Rubber bops off of the nightstand and hip hops across the floor and into the bed, and makes sure that he ends up between the couples, so that they realize, ooh, wow, I forgot to use Mr. Rubber. Now, remember, these are well, wait till you see this if you haven't seen. This is one, by the way, that a lot of TV networks and stations have decided not to use. They just have found this one a little bit childish and objectionable. We'll show you this thing later on TV, but here's the point. These are put out by the government. Donna Shalala, Secretary of Health and Human Services, believes big time in these things. And you remember Ms. Shalala, among other things, has come out dead set against Joe Camel. Joe Camel's a rotten icon. He's a rotten role model. Joe Camel is bad. He's bad logo. Got to get rid of Joe Camel on the basis that Joe Camel encourages smoking, right? Joe Camel gets inside the deep, dark crevices of young, impressionable minds and creates the notion that, yeah, to be cool and to be as cool as cool Joe Camel, they got to go out and get some cigarettes. Am I right? There's no dispute. Well, won't Mr. Rubber have the same effect? Isn't Mr. Rubber, as a logo, as an icon, as a whatever, going to encourage people to use Mr. Rubber? And in the process of so doing, is not the activity or the behavior which really subjects participants to the risk going to be encouraged? So Joe Camel is bad, but Mr. Rubber is good. Thanks to your government. We'll show you this thing on TV. You know, I mean, it really, first time I saw it, I thought, this looks like an old Alka-Seltzer commercial. In fact, we ought to get the Alka-Seltzer music. Remember that? What was that? The plop, plop, fizz, fizz, or maybe that was, yeah, that was it. I remember back, I was in junior high. It goes way, way back, but I remember, and even that song, that theme song, became a big hit on the radio. It was an instrumental song, but I just wish I could remember the name of it. La da, la da da, by the T-Bones. La da la da da da, do 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 do, la da la da da da, dee 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 dee. We'll see if we can find it. Probably won't be able to find that, but Mr. Rubber. Uh-oh, that couple got in bed without me. I better get over there. Blip, 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 and miraculously ends up. Mr. Rubber has no brain. Ha, ha, ha. Boy, is that ever true. We'll be back. Don't go away.
You're listening to the EIB Network.
There's no free lunch in America, especially when you're in sales. You've got to maximize every opportunity and strike when your prospects are hot. That's why more and more of America's sales superstars are using a new secret weapon, Maximizer for Windows. Easy-to-use Maximizer software instantly turns your PC into a sales command center, tracking every detail of your customer contacts, managing your schedule, speeding correspondence, alerting you when it's time to send a letter or make a call, and systematically moving your prospects toward a buying decision so you close sales. after sale after sale, like you've never done before. Maximizer users report doubling, even tripling their business. No wonder PC Magazine awarded Maximizer the highest score of any contact manager for Windows, and Mobile Office Magazine named it Contact Manager of the Year. In fact, we're so sure you love Maximizer that we'll make you an incredible guarantee. Use Maximizer for a whole year. If you don't close more sales than you ever thought possible, send it back and we'll refund your money. No questions asked. To order or for more information, call Delaware at 1-800-OFFER-94. Write it down, 1-800-OFFER-94. For a limited time, get free next-day shipping. Call 1-800-OFFER-94 or visit your nearest CompUSA, Computer City, Egghead, or other fine retailer today.
Waynesboro Furniture, downtown Goldsboro, is your mattress outlet center. Along with a full line of furniture, the most important item for a good night's rest is quality bedding at the lowest prices in town, and they're ready for your selection. Mattresses of all sizes, priced as low as $139 for a single-size set. Lifetime warranties protect your bedding investment. For bedding, furniture, home furnishings, and accessories, buy there, pay there, save there at Waynesboro Furniture, 119 North Center Street, downtown Goldsboro.
I know you've enjoyed the weekday lunch buffet at Madison's on New Hope Road, but did you know that it's available on Sundays too? And it's even bigger and better? It's the weekday lunch buffet on Sunday, plus steamed shrimp, fried oysters, and more, and it's only $5.99. What a treat! 5 to 7 vegetables and meats, a salad bar and dessert, plus shrimp and oysters. And now that famous Madison Surf and Turf buffet you've heard so much about is available Sundays beginning at 5 p.m. My mouth's watering just telling you about it. You owe it to yourself and your family to dine at Madison's New Hope Road, Goldsboro.
What are your New Year's resolutions?
Lose 10 pounds, run a marathon, plan my retirement, start an herb garden, and learn Spanish.
That's a lot of work.
A piece of cake. I sent for National Dynamic Speed tapes and their free cassette player. Listen to the tapes for 20 minutes a day. In a month, you'll speak and understand Spanish, French, German, Italian, or Japanese.
What about your other resolutions?
Well, I'll get to them later.
Start 1994 off right. Call National Dynamics at 1-800-545-1985 today.
Did I mention paint the house?
1-800-545-1985.
My father used to pat me on the back. My father never touched me. My father bought me a bicycle one Christmas. My father gave me a carton of cigarettes. My father wanted my opinions, even when they weren't like his. My father told me I was too young to know. Years later, my dad said, "You're doing a radio spot. Great." My father said, "A radio spot? What could you possibly know about dysfunctional families?"
Which one of these is your child? From people who think a father makes a real difference. The Mennonite churches.
That's what it was. It was No Matter What Shape by the T-Bones. That was the song that went along with the Alka-Seltzer campaign. Good friend of mine, Dick Rich, known as Rich Dick Rich, actually worked on the campaign, phoned in. We've been thinking here during the break of how combined efforts might prove useful. Secretary Shalala hates Joe Campbell. A lot of people hate Joe Campbell. We could combine Joe Camel and Mr. Rubber. We could actually take Mr. Rubber out of the packet and actually put Mr. Rubber on Joe Camel's nose. And then bring back the other Alka-Seltzer campaign. I can't believe I ate the whole thing. And I think we've got a tremendous public service campaign there, folks, just waiting to be sprung on the youths of America. Joe Camel, Mr. Rubber on his nose. Da-da, da-da-da-da. I can't believe I ate the whole thing. Fort Collins, Colorado. Home of Dan's Bake Sale. This is Juanita. Hi, Juanita. Welcome.
Hi, Russ. I listen to you every day, Russ.
Thank you.
I'm sitting at home working, but I have to say I never agree with you. I mean, I sit here and I get really angry.
Never? You never agree?
Well, occasionally I agree with you.
Wow.
But it's almost always just one little thing in your argument that I agree with. But anyway, I wanted to call and say that if it wasn't for your ego and your conceit, that you'd be boring, and I wouldn't listen.
Ego and conceit, I'd be boring?
You would. You'd just be another local radio talk show host. And I mean, since I never agree with you, And the fact that I turn you on every day,
Mm-hmm.
it must say something for your humor. You're funny.
Whatever you think, but I must disagree.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to try to talk you out of whatever reason it is you listen to this show.
Yeah.
Because I value I value you as a listener.
Okay.
I don't want to tell you, but you're really, to call me just another local talk show host. Whoa, Juanita.
If it wasn't
No. But see, it just goes to show that what the magic here is working and you don't even know how.
Yeah.
And that is the case it is with most addictions.
Yeah. Too true.
What do you do for a living, Juanita?
I do copy art.
Copy art.
Yeah. For a little local company, I do hand-painted canvases.
Really?
For a needlepoint.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I sit here all day.
You're just such a good little liberal. You're out there like an arts and crafts kind of thing, right?
I'm not a liberal.
You've got to be if you never agree with anything I say.
I'm not a liberal, and I'm not a conservative.
Oh.
I take each issue on its own merit.
You're one of those, are you? So you would call yourself a moderate.
Possibly, yeah. A moderate.
Yeah,
That's good.
You know what I say about moderates, don't you?
What's that?
Well, a moderate is somebody who doesn't have the courage of their convictions. A moderate's a middle of the roader, and you get run over in the middle of the road.
Oh, no, you can't take every issue and stand staunchly on one side just because you're a conservative or just because you can't, and you do that sometimes.
No, you can. You must. That's called principle.
Well, what if your principles are wrong? I mean,
they're not. It's not a concern of mine.
Today you were talking about Clinton taking so much glory for the Ukraine getting rid of their nukes.
Yeah.
Well, I remember when Bush was president, and you were giving him all the glory for knocking down the Soviet Union. I mean, America was taking all the credit.
Wrong-o.
What?
I was giving Reagan credit for it.
Sorry, Reagan.
Yeah.
The Republican Party.
That's right. The Republican Party, Ronald Reagan.
It was how can you possibly take credit for that?
I wasn't. I was giving Reagan credit for it. I had nothing to do with it.
Same difference.
No, it's not. My show wasn't on the air over there then.
Over where? In Russia?
Yeah. My show was not behind the Iron Curtain then, except when smuggled in on audio cassette. But its distribution was not wide enough to have it had anything to do with it. I'm big enough to admit that I had nothing to do with the wall coming down. Reagan did it.
Okay, therefore I think we should give Clinton a little bit of credit for the Ukraine getting rid of their nukes.
Well, okay, if you want to give credit to Clinton, then you got to do it for the real reason.
I think it was probably the Ukrainian people.
And
their government.
No. In fact, the Ukrainian people haven't agreed. The one stumbling block is the Ukrainian parliament. They don't want to disarm at all. The Ukrainian president has made the deal because Clinton signed a check. But the parliament, that's yet to come. They've got to agree to this. I mean, they got their own versions of Tom Foley over there. Mm-hmm. And they got to go through those guys. It's not a done deal yet. But I imagine the money will talk. It always does.
Yeah.
But all I'm saying is give him credit if you want, but give him the right credit. He signed the check. Don't give him credit for statesmanship here. But we didn't pay the Germans or anybody else to tear down that wall, did we? The vocabulary of the average person stops growing by age 25. Your vocabulary is limited. Your potential for success is too. Hi, this is Rush Limbaugh. Verbal Advantage, Achievement Dynamics' powerful audio cassette program, gives you the words you need to succeed. Just by listening, you'll learn word meanings, pronunciation, and usage, plus essential power words to give you confidence in any situation. To learn more, call now, 1-800-28-TAPES. That's 800-28-TAPES.
This is WGBR News, Goldsboro's very own.
This is Wayne Alley. A log truck driver from Route 2 Don became Wayne County's first highway fatality for 1994 in an accident on Memorial Church Road about 4.5 miles west of Fremont yesterday. The State Patrol confirmed that the log truck loaded with logs left the road in a curve about 0.4 of a mile west of Highway 581, ran into a ditch, struck a culvert, and overturned, spilling all the logs. The patrol source said 34-year-old Norman Davis was declared dead at the scene. An observer on the scene said the cab of the log truck was crushed and that rescue personnel using the jaws of life spent about 2 hours getting the victim out. They had the assistance of 2 record drivers using cables in that 2-hour effort. Goldsboro police say approximately 200 stitches were required to close wounds suffered by 31-year-old Terry Sylvester Townsend of John Street. Townsend alleged in a complaint filed with police that one suspect struck him about the arms and back with a chain, and that another cut him on the lower back, right ear, and forehead with a razor blade box cutter. The victim said he got into a verbal argument with several people inside a structure on Elm Street and that the argument continued when he went outside and a fight continued into the area of Slocum and Elm Streets. Governor Jim Hunt said at the dedication of the Pate Dawson facility in Wayne County's Industrial and Business Park yesterday that economic development is more than bringing in new industry, that it's developing existing industries, such as Pate Dawson, which will add 60 new jobs.
Folks, we are on the verge, and it isn't going to happen overnight now. We can't overpromise. We're on the verge of really having our eastern North Carolina burgeon out and become a great land of economic development and opportunity. You have to have good ideas like this industrial and business park. You have to have good ideas like the Global Trans Park. You have to have people that say, yes, it's going to cost some money and we'll find it. You have to have public-private partnerships. You have to have people who will work hard. You have to keep that vision.
Governor Jim Hunt. The Wayne County Board of Education was asked last night by George K. Martin to make every effort possible to have mace identified as a weapon the same as other weapons under the new felony law when it is used offensively. Martin's request was a result of his 17-year-old son allegedly being assaulted by another student at Southern Wayne High School. The Weather Center forecast is next. For WGBR, I'm Wayne Alley.
Skies will stay mostly cloudy the rest of today. High temperatures ranging from 40s in the northern counties to a few 50s southward. A chance of rain developing this evening. Could be a couple of sprinkles this afternoon, but not many. Most of the rain will be after sunset. Rainy tonight and tomorrow through the morning. Lows in the low to mid 40s tonight. The rain ending in the afternoon tomorrow. Highs ranging from 40s in the north to again some 50s southward. I'm Bill Schmidt at the Weather Center.
This is Rush Limbaugh, the talk of town, 1150 WGBR.
Whoa. Let's go. Rush Limbaugh.
Don't forget our latest newsletter offer, ladies and gentlemen. We call it Guns for Newsletters. You get $1 off your subscription to the Limbaugh letter if you turn in a weapon once carried on a condom run by an Arkansas state trooper. Number to order the newsletter is 800-457-4141. Order now. State of the Union issue is up next. It's our February issue, and it's hot. Back to the phones to Los Angeles. Eric, you're next, and I'm glad you waited. Thanks for your patience.
Thank you, Rush, and dittos ad infinitum from Los Angeles.
Thank you very much.
My wife and I are fairly recent converts from middle-of-the-roadism.
Well,
you just mentioned. So I'm in film school out here, and you've been talking about the media a little bit today as far as fictionalizing people like yourself. I was wondering what, you haven't really talked about Hollywood much since your idea for Gulf War I, and I wanted to know what your analysis of the problems with Hollywood are and your advice to someone like myself who's wanting to make a difference in the media.
I got to tell you, it's a frustrating thing. I have met a number of conservative entertainers, and the vast majority of them, at the conclusion of the first time we get together and talk, all say, "Now, you can't tell anybody what I said. You can't discuss this because it would hurt my career." These are stars. These are people who I would think would have nothing to worry about, but they clearly think they do. I know some people in Hollywood who are writers and assistant producers and so forth on sitcoms, the names of which, if I were to mention, you would know them well. And they pretty much say that they keep to themselves when it comes to the discussion of their political views. In my mind, we talk about the Hollywood left here all about it a lot, and I wrote all about it in my first book. And I think that for whatever reasons, Hollywood is definitely left, and I think that the danger that's posed is not that they are what they are, but that they're never challenged when various stars say various things about various issues. They're never challenged by the entertainment press. That's how you get people like Jane Fonda and Jessica Lange called to Washington to testify on farm problems because they played poor farm women in a movie. So I think, you know, we're Americans, and anybody can have any view they want, but these people are almost on pedestals of expertise when they announce their point of view. And I don't think that problem is abating. I don't think it's going away. And I think that much of the stuff that comes out of Hollywood is destructive, and much of it is clearly biased politically. But that's what it is. It's the way it is. You have to deal with it. What do you want to do when it comes to film? You want to direct, produce? What is it you want to do?
I'm thinking of starting out with writing and then hopefully getting into directing.
You want to have? Well, are you hoping to have your political, social, and cultural views represented in what you write?
I hope so. I'm also a committed and devout Christian, and I've just read Michael Medved's book, Hollywood versus America, himself he's Jewish, also a devout Jew, and neither of us see really our views presented honestly and with dignity.
And I've met Medved. He is a great American, and he's got a lot of guts. I mean, Medved, when that book came out, Medved was ostracized. He was excoriated. He was held up as an example of you know, petty critic and so forth. Mm-hmm. But he stuck to his guns, and I think more and more people are. I have chronicled all of the changes that have taken place in sitcoms, for example. Murphy Brown, that show is becoming far more conservative now, on occasion, certain episodes. And I think there's opportunity. I think that you could look forward to at least a better chance now than you used to have, but it's not going to be easy. And I'm going to give you one piece of advice.